Yo, 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 yo. What is up, everybody? Welcome to another live Frisco Report. It's Tuesday night. That means Frisco Report time, babe. What's up, Mike?
What's going on, Joe? I hope you're doing well. It's been a busy day for me, and now it's time to talk some football. And we're going to talk about on the field activities that begin next Thursday. Amari Cooper has some high expectations, Joe. 3,000-yard wide receivers and Mike McCarthy's leadership. There's some gems I want to talk about in that 1 minute and 30-second clip that the Dallas Cowboys teased us with. I need longer videos from them. They teased us with it. But right off the bat, Joe, let's talk about the on-the-field activities. What's your expectation? What's your thought process? Walk me through what next Thursday could look like.
Yeah, next Thursday, I think you're going to start to see, the on-field. Mike McCarthy revealed the two-phase. First phase is going to be all the classwork, getting all these tests done, the COVID, make sure everybody's in the clear and everything like that. And, of course, if there's any last-minute players that want to opt out, and we'll discuss that a little bit further in the show. But, yeah, man, so on next Thursday, on-field activity, what does this mean? I think you're going to see some players that are not quite 100% on the sideline doing, stretching and working the bands and that kind of thing. But I think they're going to slowly work them into these activities. I don't know that we'll see full-blown 7-on-7, things like that. I think it's going to be more installation, offense over here on the side, receivers, your position groups and this kind of thing. Kind of like what we see in training camp pretty much, your coaches, putting the running backs through the drills and wide receivers, tight ends, and then maybe as camp progresses, they do a little bit more 7-on-7, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right about it. And they Amari Cooper did a press conference, and we'll talk about that later. But he talked about owning some equipment in his house. Then he talked about getting a gym membership. Then he talked about working offense with CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, some running backs, things like that with Dak Prescott. But it's huge that you ease these players in because maybe some didn't have that chance, or maybe some family, maybe it's dealing with COVID and family, even maybe they didn't have a chance to work out those hamstrings and those growings and the Achilles and get all that stuff moving and gradually gel that body back to what football does to the body. And it's hard work down there, Joe.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see players that are, on pup right out the gate, talking about Tyron Crawford, Dontari Poe. Will those types of players, are they going to be the ones be on the sideline with the bands and this kind of thing, limited work, that kind of thing? So it'll be interesting to see how that looks. I want to see Connor McGovern, okay? The Pec, is he going to be ready to go? I'm assuming he will be, but, you do have players that are coming off of injuries from last season. Are they good, 100% ready to go? That'll be something to keep an eye on.
Absolutely. And, Dontari Poe, Tyron Crawford, these guys are starting the year off pupped. And you talked about Leighton Vander Esch, his neck surgery. How's he going to look out there? You just brought up, Connor McGovern's pec. So, a couple surgeries went out. I think Zach Martin had some surgery too. Connor Williams with that knee surgery. So, players got to gradually get that rehab behind them, get on that field and grind and get ready for hopefully a 16-game season, Joe.
Yeah, hopefully a 16-game season. And this is something that we'll talk about a little bit later in the show as well. But as far as like getting on the field, Jane Slater did reveal that a number of offensive players have been working out consistently at Dak Prescott's house, where he built a football field at his house. So you like to hear that. I'm sure the commissioner and Mike Florio and these kinds of guys they don't like that kind of thing, getting in groups and things like that. But everybody's around the league. Kyle Murray invited a bunch of his players to come out and practice with him in the Dallas area, I think it is. So a lot of these players are doing this. So Dak Prescott, leadership. They can't do the wide receiver. What does he call that? He does this every year where he has all the receivers come out and they all gel together, right? The summit,
Yeah.
the wide receiver summit.
Wide receiver summit.
You can't do the wide receiver summit because they typically they go off and they go somewhere else. Here, they're keeping it local at Dak's house. So I love it. I love it. Very good stuff.
Yeah, when I heard that was going on, you said the first word, leadership out of your quarterback. And, Dak, there's a lot of things that didn't go his way, with securing a long-term bag. But, that wide receiver summit, getting these guys in here, and, this wide receiver court's changed so much in the last 3 years, dare I say. And, that's leadership, getting timing, getting throws down, where these guys are going to be when Dak released that ball. That's huge in the National Football League.
Very huge. And leadership. Everybody I follow, everybody I look on Twitter, everybody was quoting Mike McCarthy's, he's here to win. This is a winning culture. And that was the big topic of the week. Everybody quoting Mike McCarthy that, everything they do, it's going to be about winning, So I love that. I love that. And you see that resonate with the players. If you see Tyler Biadasz interview, he said the same thing. The message is concrete. Okay, it's clear cut. There's no ambiguity as far as what does this new coach want to do? Is this the same old stale message that Garrett was having? None of that is here. Now it's the big leagues here with Mike McCarthy. I love it, man. I really do.
Yeah, we talk about the messages. Under the last regime, it was the team, respect. It was finish the fight. That took off and did its thing. But when your head coach comes in there and the first message that he gets to do, being physical in-house with his players, is everything we're going to do is going to be about winning, that's huge. And he didn't say on the football field. He said personally. So that means you're going to win off the field, you're going to win on the field. For your head coach, Joe, to go in there and set that mindset, set the mentality of what this is, the team, respect, finish the fight, that got us nowhere.
Yeah.
We're going to win, and that's the only thing we're going to do is win. That's concrete. And at the end of that 30-second video the Dallas Cowboys put off there, the last thing he said was, you're good to go, men. You're not guys. He called them men. That right there already brings a one-on-one connection because that's a respect thing, Joe.
Yeah. Here's talking about this. Here's a good question here from Monty, one of our regulars. Appreciate you, man. How quickly can we expect this team to get on the same page with McCarthy, Mike? Defense and offense.
Amari Cooper, the reporters asked him that question, but obviously for offense, and he said, "If I had to play, I'm ready." It all depends on the players, right? They've had this playbook for a long time. Have they studied this playbook? Have they learned their new assignments at each position on defense, at each position on offense? With Dak being that leader we just talked about and running that wide receiver summit with running backs and tight ends and stuff, I don't think it'll take long. There's a lot of Zoom meetings that took place that we never saw. And that sets foundation. That gives rookies like CeeDee Lamb, rookies like Trayvon Diggs, to process things mentally. So when you get on that field and do it physically, it catches so much better. So I don't think it'll take too long. But again, all NFL, all 31 other teams are at this disadvantage also. But to answer your question, Monte, I don't think it'll take long. What do you think, Joe?
No, I don't think it will either. They've been working on this, through the offseason. Like you said, all 31 other teams beside the Cowboys are, experiencing this same type of issues with COVID, and it's a new era of coaching and getting your team up. And I think this was the perfect time to bring in a coach like Mike McCarthy. Has the experience to get through these types of issues. He's seen everything in the league. So good move by the Cowboys, and you like everything you're hearing about, the players, everybody's, doing what they need to do to get this thing rolling. And I really do like that about Dak. I love the confidence from Amari Cooper. He said they expect 3,000-yard receivers. So, that's talking about him, Michael Gallup and CeeDee Lamb. So, Mike, lofty goals. Amari Cooper says that's what he expects. That's what they expect. What do you think about that notion there?
It's not. It's very possible to achieve that goal. Michael Gallup busted out 1,000 yards. Amari Cooper 1,000 yards, and Randall Cobb was only 300 yards away from 1,000 yards. So, and there was some bad play calling that Randall Cobb even could have got 1,000 yards. But you add the addition of a guy like CeeDee Lamb who's fluent in route running, as Amari Cooper said, he has that great foundation of learning, and he knows how to run routes. It might be a little easier, and I don't want to sound cocky because that's my team, but you look how deadly CeeDee Lamb was at Oklahoma. We already know what Amari Cooper can do, and Michael Gallup in his second year got 1,000 yards. I don't see a fall off from anybody. This is possible, Joe.
Yeah, it's definitely possible, and it all connects back to if this offense is as explosive as we believe it's to be, and what some of these players obviously believe it's going to be as well. Obviously, that you probably don't say that, but I love hearing that from Amari Cooper. And now it's time to back it up, and I think they will. Dak Prescott, these guys working out off season. Now they're going to put it on the field and get to work. I love it. I love all this talk right now, but it is talk.
Yeah, and it is, and that's why I say I don't want to get cocky. I don't want to take, I don't want to drink the Kool-Aid as everyone calls it. In Mike McCarthy, in Mike Nolan, in Al Harris, in Bones Fossil, Greg Zuerlein. I mean, we could talk about they cut Kai Forbath, Joe. There's no kicker competition. What do you think about Greg Zuerlein and that chemistry with Bones Fossil?
Yeah, I mean, I think this was a move that Fossil had in the back of his head when he came in here, and it was a foregone conclusion for me. Was there going to be competition at the end of the day? I don't think so. It was going to be. That's his boy. That's Zuerlein. He knows what he can do, and but Kai Forbath he did pretty good for us. I liked him. So no more Cobra Kai. Now it's Zuerlein time, baby.
Yeah, there was no kick. A 3-year deal for a kicker, that's pretty much set in stone. And then, Kai Forbath did some great things for us. What was he, 10 for 10 for us when we got rid of Maher? No more money, Maher. And
he was Maher was so bad.
But Kai Forbath, he got his guaranteed signing bonus was $130,000. So he didn't even step on a practice field and got paid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he got paid. But the writing was on the wall. 3-year deal, $7.5 million for Zuerlein. I mean, they weren't going to bring him here and just, cut him right around just like that. So interesting take there. Other players that have been released, I guess you could say, or opting out, actually. We're talking about opting out here. Jameez Olawale, the fullback, Mike, they had high expectations for him last season. They said that they were going to use him in the passing game. Then when they threw him the ball, he dropped the ball. So they didn't really utilize him like we thought he would. Not physical, not the glass eater that Keith Smith was when he left over to Oakland. But now you get, it's pretty much going to be Sheyo Alanuluoa.
You did better than me. I'm horrible at pronouncing names.
And actually, that wasn't even a good attempt. My apologies. But you know what I'm talking about. Shewa from the Horned Frogs. It's pretty much his job to lose, right? So unless they bring in a veteran in here, Mike, what's your thought on this whole the fullback? Is it something that we should even talk about, or do you think Mike McCarthy is going to utilize that position in his offense?
Yeah, Mike McCarthy will definitely utilize the fullback position in his offense. It's a classic West Coast offense. You look at all the West Coast offenses, what do they got, Joe? They got a fullback, all right? And you look at what he did in Green Bay. He had fullbacks in Green Bay, and I can't think of his name right now. Somebody help me out.
John Kuhn.
There you go, Kuhn. I wanted to say Chung, but I knew it wasn't right. Kuhn. So and Zeke does better with a fullback. But let's be real with that. He actually does really well with fullbacks blocking for him. Hitting that most dangerous linebacker in an ISO formation. So fullbacks will be a key factor in a Mike McCarthy offense, Joe.
There we go. Ninja Nuts. He's got the phonetic pronunciation there. Let's all try to say this together. There you go. Yeah, man. Mike Alston, one of the greatest fullbacks. If they could get somebody like in that kind of vein, like a Moose Johnston, even Kuhn was like that, or an all-star like our subscriber there, Joseph said. So I think it's a great thing for the Cowboys to get younger there at the position, especially that that he didn't, Jameis just didn't really get it done there, and maybe that's why they didn't really utilize him. Maybe they didn't trust him there. But I think if you expect this offensive line to be better, and then you add a fullback into the position, and what I like about Shewo is he has that ability to catch it out of the backfield. So he has that capability, and he'll get in there and make blocks. He's not the most vicious blocker when I broke down his tape, but he's not going to be like Jameis. I think he's an upgrade, in my opinion. Yes, he's a rookie. Yes, he's undrafted. But you do have to sprinkle in some of these players to get your team going, I mean, that's just what it is.
Yeah, this is the challenge of COVID. And, Jameis opt out for whatever reason. And that contract will roll in over the next year. So we could potentially see him, in 2021. But Olanalua could, develop something and maybe just say, Jameis, go ahead and just give me that key card. You're not even welcome back.
Yeah, so Jameis opted out, and I think that was maybe the writing was on the wall for him that he knew he wasn't going to win this position out. So let me chill here for the season, get my money, and rock and roll from there. But yeah, interesting take there. A couple of other players, Savion Smith, he's on the COVID exemption list.
Tested positive, yeah.
Yeah, tested positive along with John Vay Johnson. But I think John Vay is pretty close to coming back. I think he should be hitting that 14-day limit already. So we'll see if he comes back negative. But you're seeing a lot of this around the league. There's no crazy outbreaks, Mike, but you are seeing outbreaks in MLB. Okay, so my question to you is this: is the NFL prepared to tackle on a type of issue like the MLB? MLB, a lot of these teams, Marlins, Cardinals, they got affected, had to postpone games, don't have enough players to even play a game. What's your thought on is the NFL ready for this?
They are if the players are, Joe. And let me break this down for you, right? They have the high-risk clause, right, where they can't do a lot of things with 15 or more people. And they're trusting these guys. Leave the facility, wear your mask, go home, sanitize, whatever. You know what I mean? And this is the life these guys got to live until there's a vaccine for COVID-19. And MLB, I mean, they're traveling. They're playing 3 games a week almost. So there's a lot of exposure for baseball players, and not so much with football players because they can stay in house, board this plane up, go to whatever stadium they're going to play at, board back on, and do the same routine when they touch down, because they only play once a week. And that's great and all, but it's all up to players, and they have to really consider, how much money they want to make this year, because one bad mistake. I mean, we looked at Doug Peterson, who tested positive in the National Football League. Well, what kind of message will that send to Philly players? How did he even get it? How is he not being cautious? And he's a head coach, right? So It's all on coaches, players, medical staff, owners. I don't even know if they'll let cheerleaders in the building. I don't know, but it's a collective. Did you want to talk about football's teamwork? Football makes the dream work. This right here is the true test to that statement, Joe, because everybody has to be on the same page.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can't be selfish in this thing where you go out and go to a club or go to something and get exposed. And Texas, as you guys know, if you live anywhere in Texas, you know the exposure's through the roof in Dallas and Houston and the major cities. So hopefully, you know they'll be good. Speaking of, here's a good question by Izzy Prado. Could we see a bubble season, for instance, four times? Let's see, 4 games in the division only. Okay, 4 games in division. Could we see a bubble season? So, Mike, I'll let you take this one here, Mike. Good question, Izzy.
Well, we got what the NBA is playing in a bubble. Is hockey playing in a bubble?
That I'm not sure. I don't really follow hockey.
Well, let's just use NBA because I know they're playing in a bubble, right? It's working for them, and they play just as many games as baseball players do. So we know that isolating, bubbling players, coaches, medical staff, it's working. And I think if the NFL kind of lets let's say COVID gets a little out of control in the league, you might see them start pedaling back and maybe develop a bubble. But we probably won't see it now because the NFLPA and the NFL. They've been chopping at the bit with agreements and new rules and all kinds of crazy stuff, right? With the practice squad being 16 players and just that right there even helps the rookies. But if there's going to be a bubble, things really have to go south against the Shield.
Yeah. No, I agree. And is it possible? I think it could be possible. You know, there was rumblings that the NFL is actually kind of low key discussing regional bubbles as a fallback. So it's not something that they're hoping they have to do. But you know, like Izzy says, 4 games in the division only, that would be kind of a bubble. Now, if they're talking about regional bubbles, the Cowboys, you know, wouldn't really fit that thing because if you think of the NFC East, everybody's up in the Northeast. You know, Washington, football, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the New York Giants, and we're down here in the South in Texas. So would they realign the schedule or rearrange the schedule? So we'll have to see what happens. I think they're going to take this week by week and see how everybody does in camp and everything like that. And but I think for the NFL, you know, it's a full go. They want to get the 16 games in playoffs and everything like that. So we'll see what happens. Great question, Izzy. Appreciate you, man.
But yeah, I mean, as someone said in there, I trust the NFL to be very careful about the safety during COVID. I assume they've been looking at NBA and Major League Baseball. This is from Zachary King. Thank you for that, Zachary King. And I agree. I mean, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. They got the world's most expensive franchise, according to Forbes magazines, and the Dallas Cowboys in the whole entire world, right? The NFL, if there's going to be a league in the United States that's going to get this right, it has to be the NFL. It just has to be. There's too much money involved here.
Yeah, and if they don't, it's going to be an embarrassment, you know, because you have some of the top, franchises in all of sports are in the NFL. You know, you're talking about the Cowboys. I think they came in Forbes like $5 billion now.
5.5, yeah. And then it was the Yankees. Yeah, there was a crazy list. Lots of money on there.
Giants are in there. The Patriots in there. Like we have several of the NFL franchises in that top 15 that are in there. So, you know, pretty amazing. That's why I say, why do they want to do this thing about cutting the salary cap and this and that? These guys have billions of dollars. It's a bunch of bull for me. I mean, you got the TV deals and this kind of thing. I get it. But anyway, let's look at some questions here in the chat box. Everybody, appreciate everybody that showed them here, showing out in the chat box. Got a lot of great conversation. Let's see what we got here. Here's one here. Monte again. Do you think Dak is going to end up getting paid, or are they going to ride it out and wait to see what happens with Aaron Rodgers?
Well, ironically, when the Packers season ends, it'll be before Cowboys. So they're already going to know what's happening with Aaron Rodgers. I'm being cocky there. I don't know if you picked that up or not, but they're going to know what happened to Aaron Rodgers. And Dak has everything going for him, right? The offensive line, the running back, Blake Jarwin, how's he developing as that hybrid tight end-esque, right? And then we just talked about what the 3 wide receivers' expectations are. Dak's going to get paid, and he's going to get paid heavily compensated pay because the sky's the limit, Joe.
Yeah, I think so. I think at the end of the day, something catastrophically would have to happen for the Cowboys not to do well this season. They showed that they were able to do it with Garrett, and they just needed the coach and a couple of little pieces in place to get you over that hump. I like what they've done on defense, but you want to keep your guys that you draft, right? You want to raise your guys up and pay your own players. That's kind of been what the Cowboys do. They draft well, so they got to pay their players. That's why when free agency season comes every year, you get fans that are so, in upheaval about, hey, why aren't we spending money? Why aren't we grabbing this other guy, high-priced guy? Well, we're paying our own guys now. Obviously, there are some that we would love to get in here, but at the end of the day, Cowboys, they have been drafting better than a lot of the league. So you're giving these big contracts to players like Zach Martin, Amari Cooper, and these types of cornerstone players, right, Mike?
Oh, cornerstone, it ain't even the words for a guy like an all-pro like Zach Martin. These guys. And, yeah, Dak's going to get paid. Donnell Jenkins said, Dak looks slim too. And, he Dak might be a little faster this year. Who knows? I mean, he does look a little slim. Now, pictures and angles, that they can fool the eye. But it's, when Dak's up there, because, when they showed the Veterans Media Day, Dak looked the same size in that angle. Then they took a picture with the shirt off, and he looked a lot slimmer in that angle. So you really won't kind of know what Dak's size is till you start seeing some things with pads on and him running around. So you kind of get like a 3D view of him. But Dak's a baller. We just talked about his leadership. I think he's going to get paid.
Yeah, a great comment here by Donnell Jenkins. Dak looks slim too. Yeah, he sure does. You look at him in the the media pictures and things that they're doing for the team. He looks lean. He looks cut. I mean, this guy, he's not playing around. He's gonna get that bag, man. I know he's gonna get that money. I saw another one here. Here's a great question here from Asmodos. What are your thoughts on Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson buying the XFL, Mike? I think it's an interesting topic here.
I think it's a former wrestler bailing out his old boss. Vince McMahon lost a lot of money running XFL, and I don't know how. What is it? 4 partnerships. I know there's a girl, a Garcia lady that just got involved being the first lady to own a sports franchise or be a part of a force. So there's a lot of moving parts to that. I know Dwayne's pitching was $15 million. That's a lot of dough. And I think it's really good for Vince McMahon. I think it's really good for The Rock, and it takes all those XFL rights away from Vince so he can get back into what he really does best, and that's WWE, acting, all that other good stuff that they do over there on that side of pro wrestling.
$15 million. I mean, The Rock probably could have really bought this on his own without the investor, but the investors are really the part that drive this moving forward. They're able to land these, negotiate these deals, TV deals, sponsors, and this kind of thing. So it'll keep the, hopefully this is the third time's a charm for XFL, so I liked it. I think it's good. It was enjoyable for me. Whenever football season's over, it's brutal. If there's still another league in here and they're they are using some NFL players. They're trying to get a second shot in the league. So it was fun, man. I liked it. It was a shame that the COVID came in here and ruined it, man. To be honest.
And the Rock's making a lot of money moves too. I don't know if you tried his new tequila Terramana. The stuff is really good. It's real smooth. It don't kick, real hard. We're not getting paid for saying this, but the Terramana tequila that Dwayne made, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
So he's making money moves.
I like this question here from Joseph Sandberg. Appreciate you, bro. Do you think there will be 2 new starters on the O-line? I love this question. Mike, what do you think about this one here?
At the end of towards midway point of the season, maybe. It would be Tyron Smith. Then it would be Connor. No, I guess that would just be one. Connor McGovern. Excuse me, Connor Williams. A lot of Connors here. Beadish, Martin, and Lyle Collins. So I'm just going to predict 1, not 2.
Tyron Smith. I was about to say, do you have that Dwayne Johnson tequila there on the bottom over there next to you?
What happened? What did I do?
You said Tyron Smith. But yeah, who would the 2 new starters be? Yeah, I think Connor McGovern could be one. Tyler Biadasz for sure. But like Mike said, I think eventually, during the season, Joe Looney probably has that shot there to start the season. But but you never know. Tyler Biadasz he's a pretty good player. We can't just come in here and think that he's not going to compete, and he could win that job. McGovern and Williams at the left guard. I think that's going to be an interesting battle. And McGovern may even get a shot there at center. So we'll keep an eye on that. But 2 new starters on the old line, yeah, I definitely see it. Great question, Joseph. Appreciate it. Yes, sir. What else we got in here? You smell what the Rock is cooking, right?
The people's eyebrow. The people's tequila.
I smell NFL expansion. So this is a great comment, okay? Because when is the last time the NFL did expand? It's been a long time. Yeah, let's see if we could think back. What was it? It was Jacksonville and the Panthers. Is that who it was?
Was it the Texans?
Texans? Was it the Texans? Actually, maybe it was because they moved to Tennessee. They got the team in, what was it, 2001? 2001? I remember that game. Cowboys got embarrassed. It was an embarrassment. Dave Campo was still – so it was pre-Parcells. So, I think it was 2001. But, it could be. But, could the NFL want to protect themselves from another type of situation like this with revenue and that kind of thing? Expanding the NFL would make a lot of sense, and that's a great comment, okay? Because definitely these guys, they make billions of dollars for a reason. They have something up their sleeve, so I wouldn't doubt that at some point. They got to be discussing it now. My question would be, who would get the expansion team? Any cities out there that kind of pop off to your mind?
Yeah, San Antonio would be one for sure.
That's Cowboys country, baby. That ain't happening.
Hey, you asked me a question. I gave you an answer there. San Antonio could see something. I don't know. Maybe Oakland brings somebody back over there.
Yeah.
Maybe San Diego brings some back. St. Louis brings somebody back.
St. Louis, that'd be interesting.
No, what state don't have a football team? Wyoming,
Portland, Oregon. That would be interesting. You have an NBA team there. Portland Trailblazers, Portland, Oregon. Why not? Let's do it. Let's get another one of these. Northwest teams in there.
Zachary King comes back with one. He says, "Do you think CeeDee Lamb will live up to the number 88 expectation?
Ooh.
Will he outshine Cooper?"
Wow.
Take that one away, Joe.
Love this question. Great catch there, Mike. Do you think he'll live up to 88 expectation? The expectation is always supremely high, and Antonio Bryant, he gave it a shot. didn't look good, and that was kind of one where you're like, ah, man, we shouldn't have gave him that number. But CeeDee Lamb, he's a better prospect to me. And I think that I think he will. I think he'll live up to expectation. He just has this vibe, this feel that he could be a potential NFL superstar. You know, it could be even right out the gate. You know, I broke this down in the video a while back about rookie receivers. What do they do in the league and the number 88 and this kind of thing. If you missed that, go check that video out. But can he outshine Cooper? That's a tall order. I'm going to say no, not the first season, but you know, I wouldn't be surprised if he makes a push there to outshine all these guys, man. I mean, like I said, I just have this feeling he has this superstar potential. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I think the expectation. I mean, let's talk about it. You know, you talked about the original AB there, but you know, Percy Harvin, you know, set the stage there. Then we talk about Michael Irvin, and then not Percy Harvin. What am I saying? Drew Pearson.
That Dwayne Rock Johnson tequila. Hey, break it out, man! Don't hide it.
Drew Pearson, the original. Hey, what is going on here? All right, Drew Pearson. At least I caught it, right? Drew Pearson. Then we talk about Michael Irvin. And then, you know, you talked about the original AB there. And then Dez Bryant. Now, you know, did Dez Bryant really live up to it? You know, yeah, he had some good seasons, but he had 4 years of drought after 2014, dare I say. And, you know, he got cut and, you know, he didn't get picked up right away. So I think there's really no expectation for CeeDee Lamb. He has to build his own legacy wearing that 88. And the legacy Michael Irvin brought to the Cowboys was, I mean, Michael Irvin told a story. He said, congratulations, you know, you guys tell your parents you're a wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys, but let them know that I catch the footballs around here. You know, that was Michael Irvin's legacy. And I think CeeDee Lamb has to kind of build his own. You know, Dez Bryant was the X, right? Throw up the X. I think CeeDee Lamb needs to come in here, mold his own craft, mold this own 88, and make it his own. Because CeeDee Lamb's different than Drew Pearson. He's different than Michael Irvin. And he's definitely different than Dez. I think he can really shape number 88.
Yeah, that was a great question, man. I appreciate that, Zachary. Yeah,
Percy Harvin.
Yeah. So that was funny, man. Great conversation in the chat box, everybody. Keep those questions coming in here. Really great stuff in here. Love it.
Rick Ray's, he said McCarthy assembled perhaps one of the better coaching staff in the NFL, all except Nolan as a DC. What is your take on Nolan, Joe?
Yeah, no, and this the quite honest truth on Nolan is his success as a defensive coach coordinator has been earlier in his career. You know, I'm talking about like the 90s, this kind of thing, late 90s. Not so much on the back half of his career here. You know, we did get him from
New Orleans,
the Saints. He was a positional coach, but you know, he does have the experience and that kind of thing, and you know, he's kind of been plagued by bad teams. So it's kind of one of those things where you look at the success he had early in his career, right? And then you kind of look at some of the situations he's been in over the last couple ones. Now, I think he's back on track there with the Saints. You know, pretty good defense, pretty much. A lot of experience, and it can't be worse than what we had right now, man. You know, we were fielding a top 15 defense with Marinelli, the Chris Richard show, you know, and all the things that we're starting to find out after the fact. So I like the staff. Nolan, I think that is a little bit of a question mark to be truthful, right? So a great question, Rick. I do like that one. What do you think, Mike?
Well, I think it's a really good question. and that's why I wanted to find it and talk about it. He was a head coach for the San Francisco 49ers in 05, 06, 07, and he got fired in 08, right?
Yeah.
And then, I mean, he kind of had some rocky starts after that. He went to the Broncos for a second stint there to be a defensive coordinator, and they ran a 3-4 defense, and they won in 1998. They won that Super Bowl, right? Because this is a second stint. They won it back in '98 with the Denver Broncos. And then, he was a defense coordinator with Miami, who's don't even have that high of a market because the talent just ain't there. Atlanta Falcons in 2012. I think that was before Matty Ice, wasn't it? Or was that with Matty Ice? I can't remember. But Matty Ice, if there was Matty Ice in 2012, he was young. That defense was, still young there too. And then, the San Diego Chargers as a linebackers coach. San Diego's invested a lot in their defensive ends, a lot in their back end. And then the 2017, the New Orleans Saints, he was there up until now with the Cowboys. But I think he really hasn't had that much talent for a long time, even when he was in San Francisco as a head coach. So it's kind of hard to judge him. He has talent now. Chris Richard had talent. We had high expectations for Chris Richard, and he fell flat on his face. Mike Nolan has the talent. He runs the talent. He don't just run a position group. He runs the talent. And he has a lot of it. And I think it'll be a fair handshake to see what he does with this defense now, because his resume, there really wasn't a lot to go off of.
Nah, yeah, you make a great point there, Mike. And what I like too about it, he's a defensive coordinator, but I think he has put good, solid coaches around him. The safety coach from A&M, Al Harris at the cornerback position. I think if you surround yourself around great coaches like that, you have a really good shot at this. Infuse the talent, and we needed to get bigger in the middle of this defense, and we finally got. This that scheme is in place. They got some players in here to get it going with McCoy and Poe, but then you bring in Gallimore, see if Tristan Hill can come around. So I love that. Asmodeus, appreciate that, buddy. Appreciate that donation there. The Lunatic, appreciate you, man. Our defense will be aggressive and playing with a lead. That will be huge in 2020. Number 6. Yeah. I love that. Play with the lead.
Yes, for our defense, but it's even going to be better with our offense being aggressive. Not playing field goal matches, not playing nail biters each and every Sunday, every once in a while, Monday and Thursday, right? Mike McCarthy set the stage. Everything we're going to do is going to be about winning. God, I love that. And I want this offense to be aggressive. If the offense is aggressive, your defense, then go over there, clip their nails. Oh, we got to go back out. Let's go get a 3-and-out for our offense. Offense goes out there and just keeps pounding them with Zeke. Keeps pounding them with CeeDee Lamb, Jarwin, and Michael Gallup, and Amari Cooper, right? If Mike Nolan plays this right, Joe, this defense could have some easy work, but it all starts with that offense.
Yeah, I think the defense is going to be in great shape. We've been in top 15 last 2 seasons. Bring in this, revamp that D line, which we really need. Let your linebackers go to town. Free them up, go sideline to sideline. They're not going to get blown up at the second level. So, the defense is looking on the up. I don't know. Maybe people are kind of sleeping on them or kind of forgetting about the sleeping giant that might be our defense, right? It could be the sleeping giant. Everybody's talking offense, and yeah, it's exciting to talk about it. Pollard, Coop, CeeDee Lamb, Dak Z. It's fully loaded. So let's not forget about this defense. I can't wait to see what they do. Joseph, I love what Tom Sula can do. He's going to be a great addition to really, bring back Aldon Smith into the fray. And then you get Aldon Smith clicking with the Marcus Lawrence, watch out, man. I can't wait to see that. I hope we start sacking the heck out of everybody.
Yeah. Pretty excited to see what James Andrew Tomsula can do. And, we talked about Mike Nolan's resume. This guy was coaching for an NFL Europe team a long, long time ago. So he's seen a lot of football in a lot of different places. You talk about Alden Smith. He can help Tank Lawrence because Tank Lawrence just has one move. He hops, shimmy shanks, and gets around. Tomsula can help with that, develop that. And then, Gerald McCoy, Don Terry, and Paul, these veterans, Tomsula can really help this D-line. And, hell, even if we get Randy Gregory back, that's really going to help him.
Yeah, and the Randy Gregory situation, obviously there's no update on that. We did have one from who was it that had an update on him? It didn't sound good, but it's almost sounded like that news that was not good. It's kind of looking like it's not, because we're already here at training camp, and there's been no reinstatement. There's been no word on Randy Gregory. So, is no word good or is that bad? You have to kind of look at that. I think they're just going to roll with what they got, man. And, that ship may have sailed on Gregory. I mean, I think he would have been in here by now. So we'll see what happens there.
Great point, Joe.
Jason Purvis, do you think Jason Garrett will give away all our secrets and hurt us?
There's no secrets. There's no secrets because the only thing Jason Garrett has really, because Kellen Moore ain't going to text him and tell him what we're doing, right? The only thing Garrett has on us is he scouted these players. He drafted a lot of these players except what Mike McCarthy just drafted, right? But all teams, if they got a good scouting department, they already know what Jason Garrett knows because they've seen the same thing, right? So there's really not a lot Jason Garrett can do. He can't go to that special teams coordinator. What's his name? Not that he used to be a special teams coordinator. Now he's their head coach. But he just can't go run to him, Judge, and say, oh, the Cowboys, because if their scouting department did their homework right, everybody should already know what Dak Prescott's strengths and weaknesses are. What Trayvon Diggs' strengths and weaknesses are. You know what I mean? Clinton Diggs. There's not a lot Jason Garrett can go tell that people don't already know because it's already on tape. It's already in their draft profile.
And yeah, I agree with that. And then the other thing too is that it's just Mike McCarthy's not going to come out here and roll out the same plays. The way I see this going, yeah, Kellen Moore is the offensive coordinator. He's got the title, but they're going to have the headset. Mike, you're going to be Kellen Moore. I'm going to be Mike McCarthy. It's going to go like this. Run it here. Give me a run play. That's how it's going to go.
All right, Dak. Mike McCarthy wants to run it. We're going to call ISO flat blitz on right. Ready? And go.
That's how it's going to go. I really do believe that's how it's going to go. Mike McCarthy's still going to say, this is what I want to do here. Give me a play. So I'm not afraid of that at all. And they're going to spice it up. There will be some similarities, but you're going to see a better execution, better preparedness, and that kind of thing. But yeah, it's an interesting question, Jason. Appreciate the question.
Very interesting question. Thank you, Jason.
What else do we have here in the chat box? Appreciate everybody that is on here. Make sure you hit like on this video, guys. If you're in the chat room and you're enjoying this conversation, hit like on this video. Helps out the channel immensely. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, Haley94 Ware said, do you think Kellen Moore has more insight on Garrett than vice versa? Right? Because Kellen Moore, being the quarterback coach and then being an offensive coordinator, he really had to pick Jason Garrett's brain on developing a game plan, what to call in what situations, right? Mm-hmm. So he's pretty much soaked up all he can now as a quarterback, as a QB coach, and as an OC under Jason Garrett. I don't know. He picked a lot of pieces of Jason Garrett's Princeton brain That's a good point, I think. What you thinking?
Yeah, it is. It's a great one, Haley. So because you can go into that defensive coordinator room, and all the teams do this. They work with all the coaches, but you can go in here. This is what Jason Garrett's going to do, and this is how we shut him down. It's gonna be fun to watch, though. Like, I'm very, very intrigued by this. Garrett with the Giants, and how that situation is gonna work out. Is it gonna be a bust? A lot of these coaches that have left the nest of Bill Belichick have all pretty much been complete utter busts. So, can this coach break that? The special teams coach. What's his name? Joe Judge, or what is his name? I forget his name.
Yeah, Joe Judge. Joe Judge.
Joe Judge. So we'll see. But that's a great question. I think we would. That's a great point. It really is.
I do like that.
We'll see what else we got here in the chat box. We got a lot of great stuff going on here.
Kellen Moore has a huge inventory of plays. Haley's back with another comment. I mean, he did have some explosive offenses at Boise City. What did he throw, like 50 touchdowns, like 2 years in a row or something like that? That's crazy offense.
And I think that's why he wanted to stay here, because he's gonna get more of this legitimate West Coast indoctrination. It's gonna be learning West Coast fundamentals and that kind of thing. With Garrett, it wasn't West Coast. They try. It's more like the North Turner or Zampese, this type of
stale offense.
Yeah, the execution. So yeah, if you're Kellen Moore, you definitely want him to stay here and learn from one of the best offensive minds. Mike McCarthy, that's just what it is. I know that there's some people out there that think it's a conspiracy, that it's Jerry Jones meddling and this and that he wants to keep Moore in here, and I don't see it that way. What do you think about that, Mike?
Yeah, I think he has a lot of plays in his playbook. I mean, you talk to any quarterback that's played with them, anybody that Kellen Moore's coached, they'll tell you that this guy has an offensive mind, live and breathe, sleep, all that crap, football mind, X's and O's. It's like the little Giants, right? When he said, I want you to come help out the team, but I don't want you to play. And he goes, I want you to be creative with plays. He's like, how creative? And he came out with some play, the fumble Rooski from John Madden, right? The little Giants. I watched that last night, so it's coming to mind. But that's Kellen Moore, that little kid with the clipboard, Yeah. And that's just what he does.
Izzy Prado's going here. Should Zeke break Emmett's TD record? So I'm assuming he's talking about Emmett's season record of, what was it, 25 touchdowns in the season, right? And I think LaDainian Tomlinson broke that one. But do you think that would be possible, Mike? Do you think that Zeke could get 25 rushing touchdowns and break Emmett's season franchise record in one season?
It's hard to do it in this football. LaDainian Tomlinson was fortunate enough to still be a running back heavy loaded roster, right?
Yeah.
With Zeke here, I mean, you talk about Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper being 1,000 yards. Now we're talking about adding CeeDee Lamb into that mix of being 1,000 yards. I mean, well, I go back to 2014 with Tony Romo, right? DeMarco Murray just had 16 touchdowns that year, and he led the NFL in rushing too. And so I think in this day and age in the National Football League, I think it's really hard to do that.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No, I agree. I mean, it's a high number to break. Emmett had that number for a bit until LT broke it. But all records can be broken. But just in this offense, with the way we're built right now, I just don't see it happening. It would take some kind of it would have to be one of those magical type of seasons, which you never know. We definitely need a magical type of season. If we have one, that means we probably got to the Super Bowl and we probably won it. So, and you need those types of numbers. You need big numbers to make that run. And 25 touchdowns by Emmett. I think that might have been one of those Super Bowl seasons, if I remember correctly. Garrett, Jason Garrett stinks. That's a funny comment.
let's talk about Jarwin real quick. OJ1101 says, do you think Jarwin will be a top 5 or 10 tight end this year?
A top 5? I don't think he'll be a top 5, but got a lot of offense, a lot of. We kind of talked about this before. How do you get him the numbers, right? Because if you're gonna want to get it to your receivers, your Ferraris, you know, how do you get the ball to the Volvo, right? And not throwing shade on Jarwin, but if you got Ferraris out there, you're gonna run them. So Jarwin, I think he'll have a better season, but I don't think the impact will be as great. I think he'll help out in the red zone. I think McCarthy was going to utilize him big time in there. So Jarwin, I think, could be a low-key player to pick up in a fantasy football league. I think they're going to use him a lot better in the red zone than Jason Garrett didn't use him, if that makes any sense.
I think I like Jarwin here because it's a mismatch, right? If you're going to go 5 wide and you got, the 3 wide receivers we always talk about, you put Jarwin out in the stretch in the seam, right? Match him up with a linebacker because a safety is going to have to go get CeeDee Lamb because there's no way a linebacker can go get CeeDee Lamb. So you're going to have Jarwin versus a lot of linebackers in this league. Which linebackers are stronger, faster? Look at Jalen Smith. That guy can cover a tight end well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you got the right linebacker against Jarwin, I think Jarwin's routability and height and catch radius, I think it makes him win a lot of those battles. So I will say top 15. He'll be in the middle of the pack. He'll be somewhere between 10 and 15, though. I will say that.
Yeah, I think that's a good number for him, considering tall order, though. We're just so stacked on offense, and that's a great problem to have, actually.
Very good problem.
Yeah, it's a great problem to have. Yeah, this is a great and probably an overlooked stat line, but something to talk about. Greg White, with our new and improved special teams, that's going to be at least 3 wins. Great point, because we saw what our special teams has been for the last decade with Garrett. Opponents starting at the 35-yard line, 40-yard line, can't make tackles for anything. You mentioned it, Mike. We haven't had a somewhat decent return guy since Dwayne Harris.
Dwayne Harris, bro.
You guys remember that name? That's been a long time. So, yeah, if you can improve that, yeah, man, you can get at least 3 wins out of that for sure.
And it's upsetting because a lot of your special team players are your backups to your football team, and we were 32nd in special teams. I wouldn't be. I every time I talk about it, I get so mad. I wouldn't be as mad if we were tied for 31st, Joe. But you're dead last in special teams, and the Patriots game, hanging on to Brett Maher for so long. Not you trade for Tavon Austin. What's his name? Is it Tavon Austin? You trade for Tavon Austin to come in here, and you already know his hamstrings are already gone. They're disintegrated. He don't have any hamstrings, right? And so you're betting on that, and it's since Dwayne Harris. You remember that, right? Dwayne Harris. They never had anything, and that's saddening, right? Mark, what was his name? He went to the 49ers. Mark, he wore 51 for us. Nazalcha? Was it Mark Nazalcha? Remember him?
Oh, yeah.
He was a good, cover guy on special teams, but that's it. I can name 2 players: Dwayne Harris and Mark Nazalcha. That's it. And there's supposed to be 11 guys on there, and I can only remember 2 since Jason Garrett's and Dan Bailey since Jason Garrett's been a part of this team.
Yeah. So great point, and I think you get a boost there. Do they put Pollard in the mix? CeeDee Lamb, they've talked about possibly putting him in the mix, but then you draft a player like Reggie Robinson, who's one of these guys that plays really well in special teams, blocked 3, kicks in college. That's hard to do. So you add players like this, and it only takes a couple here and there, and it can turn the tide. It can turn the tide on field position, turning over, stopping a kicker from, converting a field goal, blocking a punt, these kinds of things. The Cowboys have to win in all 3 phases, right? You can't do it without winning all 3. You got to have them. So I do like that. I know that Falso kind of faded out there with the Rams over there, but they did get to the Super Bowl, and they had a good squad. So if you can get that same type of magic here with the Cowboys, I think you're doing better already.
Yeah, I mean, you got to fix special teams. I mean, good Lord, you got to.
Yeah, but I think that's it for tonight, guys. We usually cut this around 1 hour. Great questions in the chat box, everybody. Appreciate everybody that showed up tonight, and everybody that submitted a question during the conversation. We appreciate those. Lots of great questions. Mike, great job as my co-host.
Thank you, Joe.
Guys, we're going to cut this out here now. Mike, let everybody know where they can find you if they haven't already.
Cowboys Corner right here on YouTube _ Cowboys Corner right there on Twitter. I'm still working on the Facebook page, guys, so bear with me. But you could leave a comment here on YouTube. You can go mention me or slide in the DMs and have a conversation there. And thank you guys for listening to the Frisco Report. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at the Frisco Report and go to thefriscoreport.com. Joe, where can they find you?
Yeah, you guys can find me on YouTube as well. Cowboys Blog, and you can find me on Twitter, Cowboys Blog Net, and Cowboys Blog on Instagram if you want to see some of my personal crazy life outside of blogging and vlogging. Cowboys, hit me up there. But appreciate every single one of you guys. Don't forget to hit like on this video before you cut out. We do appreciate you guys. We'll catch you guys next Tuesday for another hour of the Frisco Report. Peace, everybody.